Hello, welcome to Sexy History, where we talk about two things as old as time: sex and history. Let's uncover what's under the covers. So roll your condoms on, because we're gonna go deep. Hello, welcome to Sexy History, where we talk about two things as old as time: sex and history. Let's uncover what's under the covers. So roll your condoms on, because we're gonna go deep. Hello, sexy listeners. Today's topic is more current, but that does not mean it has no historical context. In today's episode, I'd like to explore sex crimes. When I was younger, I would come home from school. You know what was always on? Law and Order SVU. I was old enough to watch and young enough for Law and Order to make an impact on me. Ice-T's utter shock every day as a detective in the sex crime unit never got old. So you're telling me that a young guy stuck a camera in a public toilet to watch people take a shit because it aroused his bits? Yes, Ice-T, that is exactly what I am saying. That was an episode, and to this day, it is a fear of mine. I haven't watched the show in over 5 years. I'm not sure how they have expanded. I am sure, though, that they have at least an episode or 5 on revenge porn and sextortion. And that is what today's episode is on. In the 1890s, Marian Minola was a well-known turn-of-the-century opera singer, and she was doing her job. Yes, work it, sister. She was on stage performing in a short dress and tights. Ooh, I know, quite scandalous for her time, but it was acceptable as she was a performer. One night, her stage manager dubiously took her photo while on stage. He didn't just get a photo of Marian. No. He hired a professional photographer to get a picture of her in this outfit to pass around town. This was a known thing to happen to women because in 1888, a photographer was caught in a bar selling non-consensual photographs of women to the patrons. Also, in 1888, there was a bill created aimed to protect. It would have required photographers to get a signed form from their subjects stating that it was okay to take a photo of them and to distribute that photo. But a loud group of photographers deposed the bill, and the bill was not passed. It came out from Marian Minola's case that the stage manager did this to garner more press for the show. Marian won this case, and the image was prohibited from use. We can still find the photo on Google, which, I don't know, it kind of gave me mixed feelings about. From this landmark case, we gained privacy laws surrounding our identity. Privacy laws had existed before, but not for concepts. These laws are called the right to publicity and likeness laws. Such laws make companies get a written agreement with you, the owner of said identity, to use your image or likeness of you. Marian said she did not wish to be seen like this. She did not wish to become common property. I think this quote sums up the action of intimate image abuse. Our right to privacy comes from non-consensual image abuse. This is the umbrella title for media abuse aimed at hurting an individual via risky content. Most likely, the victim will be in a vulnerable position. It is a subject that touched my soul when I heard about the issue years ago. I don't remember the specific case I heard, but many follow the same storyline. Once in an intimate relationship, a partner starts to send nude photos. Then, one day, they break up, and the other party threatens to release the media they saved. The partner may want money for them to get back together, or revenge. The list of reasons is numerous, but they do not matter, because the fact remains, this is blackmail, and it is illegal. As time went on, more and more stories of revenge porn came to the news. More and more people, mainly women, were victimized. Eventually, and thankfully, legal precedence was set. The distribution of revenge porn is illegal. It is a crime that is punishable by fine and jail time. And thank God this is a crime considering how pervasive virtual sex activities are. Did you know that as of 2023, 77% of people have sent at least one sext? To me, this is not surprising. It is interesting to see how common it has become. It makes me think, how many Congress people have sent a nude? What used to be uncommon is now common, almost expected. It's become a part of human nature. Currently, OnlyFans has 1.5 million creators and 85 million fans. That's at least 86.5 million people engaging in some level of intimate image exchange. This level of fapping has never happened before. Think about all of history, not even Playboy could circulate as much pornographic media, and women in paintings could only be seen by the people who could visit where she was hung. OnlyFans has tried to safeguard people. I suspect this is after many people were hurt. One of which was a high-profile case of Harrison versus Bear in the UK. Stephen Bear and Georgia Harrison were a couple, and between both of them, they had been on several reality TV shows. Now, I'm not just gonna assume that you've been on OnlyFans, but I mean, you are listening to my podcast. Anyways, I'll pretend you haven't been on OnlyFans. You don't have a porn addiction, congrats! On OnlyFans, you can only have someone in your videos if they have signed a form saying that they are okay with being in the content. It needs to be noted that they only need to sign once. The person who is the creator then tags the other person for any content that they were in. It doesn't notify the other person to okay the content. The signed contract stands for all content made together. Personally, I think the system has some issues, and here's why. This man, Stephen Bear, is the biggest piece of shit. I can say that factually. He and Georgia Harrison were in a relationship. They had sex in his garden. I know, good for them. But he, being famous, had security cameras that recorded the outside of his home and them. He then took this recording and sold it on his OnlyFans account. He made over $22,000. He did not tell Georgia what he did. She had to find out about it later through other people. Georgia took him to court. She won. Amen. A woman. And he got 18 months in jail. I believe he also had to pay her the $22,000 in lawyer fees, but, I don't know all the details. But may I just say, fuck him. He should have gotten more time and a higher fine. This is a notable case because she's famous, and this brought a lot of awareness to the injustice that she and many people face with non-consensual image abuse. It didn't set a precedent, but because it was an incident that was well publicized, it showed the public what we should expect to happen to perpetrators. From what I could find, and keep in mind, OnlyFans is not forthcoming with a lot of information, but from what I could find, OnlyFans did not start requiring this release form for non-creator parties until 2022. This was also when Harrison versus Bear was in court. I cannot say it was because of this, but one can wonder. Because it was released in 2022, the year of her trial, I doubt she had signed a form. And it's not like it would matter, because once that form is signed, OnlyFans assumes that that is for all content that you are in. It does not account for shitty people filming you without your consent. Then the creator sells that content because they have written permission already. To be fair, it isn't their job to make sure that the creator is having those talks with their partners, but I would like OnlyFans to add another safety measure in place. Something like the second party has to be able to approve batches of content that have been uploaded to the platform but not sent out. This way, they can see what they are in and can approve the content for whenever it is sent out. This could keep a lot of intimate media abuse from happening. Georgia Harrison created a documentary on this experience. It's called Revenge Porn, Georgia vs. Bear, if you would like to look further into this case. Okay, finally! The part I know you are wondering about. It's probably the reason you found me, because you Googled how to keep your nudes safe. So here we go. Most likely you're a younger person, but I am going to quickly touch on keeping nudes safe on your computer. Yes, I'm assuming that if you're a boomer, you are keeping them on your computers. Okay, I'm so sorry if you're not. On your computer, use an encryption key. This is a code that you have to remember because it is how you will get into that file or drive. If you forget your key, you can set up a new one, but when you set it up, the cloud service should delete everything on it. Scary, but a great option. If not on a cloud, once you have uploaded the pictures and put them into a folder, you need to compress and encrypt the files. After compressing and encrypting, you'll set a password. Please check all of your settings in your cloud services and make sure that your encryption and passcodes are set up. Big ones you need to check the settings for are Google Drive, iCloud, and Dropbox. Last, you can use a 7-file type to protect your explicit art. 7-Zip is an application that uses AES 256 type of encryption, so this is safer to store your content on your computer, but I will talk more about that encryption type later. Now, if you are a regular human who takes nudes on your phone, like the rest of us, stores nudes on your phone, whatever, it's all good. Let's talk about phone safety. You know how on iPhone, how it tells you need to update it, so then you plug it in, keep it on at night, and then in the morning it's like, yo, the vibes weren't right, I couldn't update. Make sure you keep your phone updated. This fixes a lot of security leaks or problems. Obviously, use unique passwords, turn on two-factor authentication, but keep your photos in one place. That means choosing between having them on your phone, a cloud, or another app entirely. The more places they're stored, the more opportunities for things to be stolen. This is hard when many apps you want to access need access to your entire gallery. For this, you would have to do the annoying Select Photos Only option. Patrick Wordle, a former NSA hacker, told Mashable, large apps like Facebook, Instagram, and Google have been vetted by security researchers, so we know they are quite secure. But other smaller apps from less big companies aren't vetted, meaning that if you allow access to your gallery, the app company has permission to access them. Doesn't mean that they can see them depending on their security. Given that anyone can create an app these days, you can see how things could go wrong. There is a lot of trust placed into the system and the applications we use. Privacy is one of the biggest issues we face today. While looking up this episode, I started thinking, what if instead of trusting and hoping that everyone is just cool and doesn't release our information or nudes, the government comes up with a system? It may not work, but this is the idea I have. The government should have a defined and regulated numbering system that app developers must follow to get a specific rating, and the Play stores must implement it so people know the level of security that a specific app provides and how exposed it makes them. This does require a lot of self-governing, which in business we know works so well. But having a security guideline that people can see, I think would deter a lot of bad companies or bad people. Honestly, this could be an automated process that app companies have to upload their app into the Play Store, which I believe you have to get approved to be on the store. Then the Play Store could do a AI security testing. It's not a perfect system, but it's a system that may protect us a little bit from ill powers. Any app you grant access to all photos can copy your images. This does not mean that they will, but they possess some level of ownership over your images. How? Because you agreed to their terms and conditions. We have to trust these companies because they have to ask for your permission to access inside your phone. This is usually because they have to make a copy of your content to store on their servers. The next issue is they store our data on multiple servers. These companies are providing you with a backup. It would look really bad if they just lost all of your stuff, wouldn't it? For example, someone puts up a YouTube video. For that YouTube video to be accessed in multiple countries, the video must be stored on multiple servers in different countries. They do this because it makes streaming speeds faster. If you're in Turkey, the speed to retrieve a video stored on a Portuguese server is much faster than something stored in America. The issue with cloud services is that any digital content or nude art it must be stored on a server. People can hack servers. There's always an inherent risk. At least you know you have some sort of protection. Just remember that celebrities' phones were hacked and their nudes were leaked. This is and will always be a risk. Moving on to the next thing that you can do to protect your nudes, Snapchat. Seems like a great option for sharing nudes as it has disappearing photos. What if I told you there are apps to keep all snaps permanently accessible? Snapchat tells you about screenshots, but it cannot protect you from these external apps. Snapchat does have end-to-end encryption though. If you want to send nudes, look for a messenger with end-to-end encryption. Honestly, I had no idea what this was, so let me break it down for you. End-to-end encryption refers to the protection of that digital item, picture, text, whatever it is, from one device to another. You send a text to your friend. That text is encoded, sent through the server, then decoded on the recipient's device. Yes, of course, technology is coded. What does this mean? It isn't coded like website code. It is coded in secret that only the recipient's device can encipher. So because the message has a secret code to it, it cannot be read in the transfer of that message through servers. iMessages, for example, cannot be read by Apple computers because of end-to-end encryption. Surprisingly, OnlyFans doesn't have end-to-end encryption. They instead inspect with human moderators. They do this because they inspect every single image to make sure it doesn't include dangerous or illegal materials, such as child exploitation and the creator's safety. It is interesting to read about, and I have linked their transparency policy below. They look for many more things than just the two I listed. Because they can access your files, that disqualifies them from end-to-end encryption, but that does not necessarily mean OnlyFans isn't a safer platform to sext on. Another thing to note before you send any photo, the photos themselves store information like location. Every photo you take stores some type of information. In your camera or your photo settings, you can turn this off. If this isn't off, then someone sends you a photo. You can see where that person took that photo. All they have to do is save that photo, go to their album, and scroll up on the picture. This is called EXIF, E-X-I-F, information if you want to look more into it. That was my general overview for all phones. I mainly talked about how it looks in iPhones, but that information applies to all phones. There are a couple of things that you can do though that are different in Apple versus Androids. So on your iPhone, the simplest way is to add yours and others' nudes to a hidden album, which requires Face ID or passcode. The more complicated thing you can do, first disable in settings that photos in notes will not be saved to your camera roll. Click add new note and then lock the note. I know, a diary of nudes. How quaint! In Android, you can use the Keep Safe Bolt app. From what I have seen, this is a safe app. This can also be used on iPhone. Either way, just pick what one place you're going to store your photos. Because Androids have so much more coding languages, look to see if the storage apps you are using use the AES256 encryption. This is a safe type of government cryptography. If you use a third-party app, see if this is the encryption type that they use. This means that you'll have to look up the developer and their reputation. May sound tedious, but I think you could do this for one important app. If we just added my numbering system, this would be so much easier. Oh my god, Megan, you're so brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyways, we're gonna move on to sex crimes. Now that we have talked about how to protect yourself from hackers, let's talk about how you can protect yourself from the person you are sending content to. I hate that I have to bring this up, and I wish it did not happen. We know about physical, in real life sex crimes, but there are also a lot of virtual sex crimes. These are incredibly common. In fact, it's so common it hurts. The two I will be covering today are revenge porn, also referred to as intimate image abuse, and sextortion. These two crimes happen to regular people, and it happens a lot. I can only speak for US laws, but I have several resources listed in the description of this podcast where you can find help if you or someone you know is being blackmailed. Revenge porn is illegal in the USA and the UK. For other locations, please refer to my resources. What is intimate image abuse? I really like Wikipedia's definition, so I'm going to be reading it verbatim. Revenge porn is the distribution of sexually explicit images or videos of individuals without their consent. The material may have been made by a partner in an intimate relationship with the knowledge and consent of the subject at the time, or it may have been made without their knowledge. Wikipedia says an intimate partner, but you can be blackmailed by anyone. The aim is usually to embarrass, distress, or to gain power or money from the victim. There is no mistaking that releasing content of someone else is a malicious act. Again, if you or someone you know is being targeted, please look into the resources I've provided. I've linked different state laws, helplines, and organizations that help remove victims' revenge porn from the internet. There is help. You are not alone, and it is not your fault. Please listen to that again. It is not your fault. It does not matter if you took the photo and consensually sent it at the time. The predator who released them is a criminal, and you deserve justice. Another crime that is a subcategory of revenge porn is sextortion. Sextortion is where a criminal is coercing the victim into giving them sexual favors or intimate images. If the victim does not do what they say, the blackmailer threatens to release their images online. Sextortion is usually a crime committed by a stranger who claims they have images of you. This works because sending nudes is so common that people think it is possible they could have my images. Perpetrators usually want victims to send them photos. Victims then send the asshole intimate images, which the criminal saves. If they didn't have your images before, now they do, and they will continue to use the images against their victim. It is a vicious cycle of abuse. While women are usually the targets of revenge porn, men are disproportionately affected by sextortion. From one revenge porn helpline in the UK, they reported 93% of sextortion survivors were men in 2023. Often, extortioners will reach out to people through Instagram with a fake profile. Criminals will pretend to be a potential sugar daddy or a pretty girl that you could be interested in. The criminal will then send what is probably another victim's nude to you, or in my opinion, that's what they would do. Then you send a nude back. They now have your image to use against you. Here they demand money, or they'll ruin your life. This can happen to anyone at any age. Sextortion has killed people. One such case was where the victim was a 14-year-old boy who had no history of mental illness. He was being blackmailed and subsequently took his life. This happened in a matter of hours after the criminal contacted him. Both of these are blackmailing, and when someone threatens you, they've committed a crime. Period. End of sentence. Full stop. Georgia Harrison was able to get compensation and redemption from the intimate abuse she suffered. It is not common for everyone to get this. Revenge porn is hard to prosecute and to receive justice. It is hard to get compensation because the victim must prove a loss of income or business. So if you didn't lose either of those, you're probably not going to get any type of compensation. These are your private images, so I doubt you took the time to copyright them. I know, I may have lost you there. But just wait, I'll explain why copywriting your nudes could help you. If you do OnlyFans or online sex work, this may be something to look into. First off, I don't know if you file intimate images with the Copyright Office if they're publicly accessible, so just know they may be, I don't know. What I can say is that if you file them, you have legal, government-backed proof that you own your images. Because of this, you are more likely to win monetary compensation due to the lack of income because they distributed your images without your permission. This goes back to your right to privacy or the right to publicity. The perpetrator would need to have written consent from you to release those images. The last thing I have to say about sex crimes is that with the rise of AI, there is a rise of deep fake porn. This is where a person can take a picture of you, either from you, your profile, and upload it to a website. The website takes your face and puts it over a porn video. AI-generated revenge porn is a tricky thing for victims to navigate because they know it's fake. So often people think it's fake. Am I really a victim? Even if it is fake, victims can have real-life consequences. People don't know about deepfakes. It's less known, and because there's less education on the subject, people are less likely to believe the victim. Synthetic media abuse is on the rise. As of right now, deep porn pics are somewhat obvious to spot as their faces can be distorted or it just doesn't look right. But as technology gets better, the fakes will get better. I've linked another resource from Mashable that lists the best sexting apps out there. The writer of this article is Anna Ivini. She has a lot of great articles on sex, dating, and technology. I highly recommend looking into her writing. Listening and reading about sex crimes took a lot out of me. This episode was challenging to make. I heard so many victim statements and stories of how they or their friends were affected, and I would not be doing my job if I didn't spread awareness on this. Please stop victim blaming. The person who is being violated did not ask for this to happen to them, and there is zero reason it should have happened to them. Most of these crimes go unreported because people are scared. They're already mentally going through a lot. Do not shame them on top of it. If you are supporting someone through this, the best thing you can do is you can be a friend. Be understanding and validate their feelings. They need to feel safe to come to you. It is not a victim's fault, and we need to be providing safe space for our friends and the people of this world. I encourage you to be non-judgmental and to help them find resources. I've said victim a lot through this podcast because I was trying to make a clear distinction of who the criminal is. Yes, people are victimized by sex crimes, but people can also be survivors of sex crimes. I am sorry if this has happened to you. I hope that I was able to provide some level of clarity and resources on the subject. This was a heavy episode, and I hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot. Please rate and subscribe, and if you're inclined, connect with me on socials and tell me what you thought. You can find me on all socials at Meg LaGoof, MEGLAGOOF. Stay safe and stay sexy.